Hi, I'm Bob Hasegawa, your state senator from the 11th Legislative District, here with another legislative update. And we're winding down to the end of our legislative session. It's been 100 and I think about 2 days up to this point of a 105-day session. The legislature is not going to be able to wrap up its work, which primarily is to write a budget before session. What we call it is sine die. That's the last day of session. So the governor is going to have to call us in. So everything is pretty much up in the air on when that's going to happen. But I thought at this point I'd give you a quick rundown of where we're at in the legislative process, because the budget, being the number one thing we're supposed to get done during the legislative session, is not anywhere near being done at this point. We've got fundamental differences in philosophy operating between the House of Representatives and the Senate. That's because the House of Representatives is controlled by a Democratic majority, whereas in the Senate, you'll recall at the beginning of session, one of the first actions that the Senate did when session began was that two Democrats sided with the Republicans to give the Republicans the majority in the Senate. Because of that, they only have a one-vote majority, and they're constantly struggling to maintain their cohesiveness in order to maintain their majority. So they have constant struggles within their own caucus. So beyond just them trying to keep peace amongst their caucus, they're not experienced, and it's showing pretty evidently that they really don't know how to manage the Senate, because right now, budget negotiators should have already been talking to the House of Representative budget negotiators and the governor's office to move us forward to get this thing wrapped up. Well, apparently, they only had their first meeting just a few days ago. Normally, so that's a month behind schedule already, because the negotiation will take a long time, believe me, especially with the fundamental differences. So that's kind of where we're at. Right now, the Republican Senate majority is still dropping new bills and expecting us to hear them in Ways and Means Committee, take executive action on them to get them out of committee, move them to rules, move them out of rules to the Senate floor, move them off the Senate floor over to the House of Representatives, where they have to go through that same process again. So it's pretty unrealistic to be dropping bills at this point in the session that make fundamental changes in the way we operate our educational system and that sort of thing, and expect them to get passed before the end of session. One example of that is we just passed what they called an education funding bill off the Senate floor 2 days ago. This education funding bill is one of the cornerstones of their being able to write the budget, and what they do is take about $500 million out of our capital budget and transfer that to operating expenses, which is, you know, capital budget is how the state affords to be able to build roads, schools, water and sewer systems, that sort of thing. So the Senate Republicans propose to divert that money that builds infrastructure into operations for the schools. Now, of course, we do want to fund schools. That's got to be one of our top priorities, but you don't do it at the expense of jobs, which is what the capital budget creates. Capital budget gives us a twofer, really. We build schools, roads, yada, yada, but at the same time, we're creating jobs, and that stimulates the economy, because all the stores that supply those construction workers, construction supply and materials, all that money is continuing to recirculate through our economy. So by raiding the capital budget to pay for operational purposes, and one of the gimmicks that they're using is we will be issuing general obligation bonds of the state to pay for the capital budget money that they will then displace into educational operations and regular general operations. So that violates one of the fundamental tenets of good financial management, where they have made the decision that they are willing to pay for 25 and 30 years on these bonds twice the value of what they're worth, because the interest that accrues over that time, in order to pay for an operational expense that is gone after we spend that money. That's really bad financial management, in my opinion. So at any rate, That's where we're at right now. We will be going into special session at some point because we have to write a budget. Not really sure when that will happen, maybe by the time that you see this video. But I will continue to keep you informed of what we're up to, and it's nice to talk with you again. Again, I'm Bob Hasegawa, your state senator from the 11th District. Thanks for watching.